Now departing, the Railway Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Railway Podcast special broadcast with me, Staffan Sporre.
And me, Ulf Karlsson, and this will be the third episode from the FP2 R2DATO final event in Prague. And now we'll hear from the Research Institute's point of view.
We've already heard from the project managers who gave us a project overview and from the technical specialists. That's episode 1 and 2 for you. And in the next one we'll talk to the members of both suppliers and the infrastructure manager and the railway undertakings.
For now though, it's time to welcome Michael Meyer, Hörste and Jaizki Mendizabal to our microphones.
A very warm welcome to the Railway Podcast to Mr. Michael Meyer Hörste and Jaizki Mendizabal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you please start by introducing yourself?
I am research coordinator in DLR. I'm responsible for coordinating all the Europe's rail activities inside DLR. I'm a strategist, so I'm discussing with a lot of people inside DLR about the rail research strategy in there.
Okay, DLR. If someone...
So DLR is the German Airspace Center, so it's a large-scale German research institution called in Germany Deutsches Zentrum für Luft und Raumfahrt, therefore DLR, but it's basically the German Airspace Center.
Very nice. And Jaizki?
Yeah, this is Jaizki Mendizabal. I work for Ceit Research Center in San Sebastian, north of Spain. We've been working on railway research for more than 40 years. And currently I'm leading the Sustainable Transport and Mobility Research Group, where we work on bringing ICT technologies to transport and mobility, specifically for railways.
And the both of us are the headliners of the Smart Rakon Scientific Conference, which we invented years ago, and we both are organizing together the conference.
Very
right.
nice.
And this year will be the 8th edition of the conference, which was born on the umbrella of Shift to Rail, following up in Europe's rail, and hopefully it will have a long future.
Because it's a wave 2 coming, but we will not talk about that at now. What has been your role in this project?
Well, my role in the R2DATO project was the one of a cluster leader. So I was responsible for all the, let's say, innovative stuff. So the autonomous route setting, virtual coupling, the self-driving freight wagon as a cluster leader. So all the work package leaders were, well, in my group doing the low TRL, future innovative things. And Jaizki was one of the work package leaders.
Right, I was leading the self-driving freight wagon activity into these innovative operational solutions that was led by Michael Meyer Hörste. And additionally, I've been coordinating all the CIT Research Center activities in R2DATO.
And it's sometimes said that the research is needed for guiding innovation that deliver prototypes to validate research and enhance specifications through demonstrations. How would you describe your role in this process?
We're sometimes the challengers going in and say, okay, you did things like this for 100 years, so maybe we need to think about something different. And so, for example, things like the self-driving freight wagon or the autonomous route setting, they're not inside the current architecture, but we would like to pave the ground for something which is more future-oriented, maybe a little bit more modular, maybe a little bit more open for new technologies to come. We will come to that point in a minute, but there are a couple of things where we need to challenge and break with old rules.
I agree with it. So we try to bring this out-of-the-box way of thinking. It is also true that depending on the work package, depending on the activity we have and the maturity of it, we have more freedom to bring these new ideas, or actually we just need to solve more current problems there.
How many researchers have been involved in the project? How many institutes?
Length overall, there are something around 600 people from the different institutions working in there. And basically, if you look on the level of institutions, there were exactly 2 institutions being members on the top level, that is Ceit and DLR.
Okay.
But there are a lot of other research institutions, let's say, as a kind of affiliated entities working, for example, for Trafikverket. So there are a lot of Swedish universities and the Rice Research Center, which is, by the way, like SINTEF in Norway, a partner of the Smart Rakon conference as well. So we're well connected inside the scientific landscape. But there's the University Gustav Eiffel, there are the CEDEX Research Center in Spain. So there are a lot of universities, and I can only guess, but I think length overall, we have approximately 100 people from the different academic institutions working together in the project.
So a lot of researchers. So then you would expect a lot of product innovations coming from the R2DATO. If yes, what so? If no, why?
Yeah, well, indeed, you see, the point with the innovation and with the research centers is always you need to find the balance between things which are really innovative and maybe behind the horizon, and things which are closer to products. So the challenge is to find this balance, and there. Well, let me start with a kind of timeline. So there are things like perception, which are understood years ago as being the critical point for automation, for automatic train driving, which is now, I would say, really on the border to deployment. So this is something which is coming out very, very recently, or very, very close in the future. There are other things like the virtual coupling of the self-driving freight wagons, which need to be a little bit more time, but Jaizki will elaborate on that. And there are definitely things behind the horizon, like a lot of AI application, like these quantum computing things and so on. And there are definitely something which need to be elaborated and need to be consolidated to be applied.
Yeah, FP2 R2DATO is really a large project, and there are different flavors of innovations and maturity. Apart from what Michael said, I would like to add also that there are some activities where we try to bring other innovations from other sectors. You mentioned perception. Okay, there are also perception solutions in other modes of transport that might work on railways, but not in the same way, for sure. We need to work on this.
Yep.
I would like also to highlight the activity on DevOps. We've been working on DevOps that is coming from the telecom industry with some needs for there, which could be applied for railways, but it is really a challenge. So we are the challengers, as Michael said before. So innovations are there, depending on the maturity and on the timeline. Those will be more disruptive or less disruptive.
Given that the complexity and the width of this project, is it hard to draw the line on what the target is? I mean, we stop here and FP1 does this, or are there any kind of discussions in that according to where do we research, so to speak?
Yeah, railway system is really complex.
Yeah.
And for sure in the Europe's rail, we have 6 FPs plus the FP7, exploratory research and so on. And I would say all are interrelated. So we might have the ATO on the railways, on the rolling stock, also on the track side, but this is installed on a train that goes on the rails. So everything is linked together. So for sure we can have some kind of boundaries, but the link is always there. We need to take into account not to have just different separated systems that don't work together.
Maybe adding on that, so we're not on the white paper here. So we have the frame of the multi-annual work program. So in a certain sense, we know the overall target of the complete program. We have the advantage in R2DATO that it is the first wave of the project. So we can say, okay, we're going towards a certain border, and as far as we can, we go, and then we're continuing wave 2 and wave 3. Well, will be the difficult project to end all these stories and come to a consolidated end. What we see, to take an example which Jaizki referred to that, which is a little bit outside of the scope of R2DATO, is we see some evolution. So the 6 flagship projects, they are very well defined. So there are clear targets, clear TRLs, clear technical enablers to be done. There's more freedom in the flagship area 7 for innovation and the exploratory research. And give you one example, the Hyperloop thing was very much on the paper in the beginning. Now we see, okay, it may last a little bit longer, and so the so-called maglev-derived systems, which were a little bit in the corner of the program at the beginning, coming to a silver tablet at the moment, and they're more the ones really being on the focus for the medium term and the short notice implementation. So there is a degree of flexibility, but especially for FP2 R2DATO, the program is set very clearly.
So in your opinion then, in what way could research strengthen the competitiveness of the European railways and the competition with other modes of transport?
Yeah, at the end, research is required for these new innovations that will shape the future railways. With regards to the competitiveness, just to put it simple, research will bring new functions that are required currently, should make the railway system more efficient by lowering the cost and increasing the benefits. So this is the way the industry is going to be competitive in the future and try to continue being the world leaders on railways in Europe.
And clearly the international market, especially looking at China, is not, let's say, waiting for Europe to be innovative. So whatever comes on the table, they're doing. So the only chance for us to be competitive on a worldwide market is to be innovative. On the other hand, Europe is still quite fragmented. So we're bound by our legacy, and so it's somewhat the role of the researchers to say, okay, you're maybe innovative, but you're not innovative enough. So we have another challenge for you, and when the people just recover from the last challenge, we need to bring the next one and saying, okay, let's go for the next one.
Yeah, and for these innovations to be reality in Europe, we also need all the actors that are here in the project thinking of these future railways, starting from the railway undertakings and infrastructure managers, suppliers, and for sure we as the research centers bringing all these new ideas on the table.
Much about communication and common knowledge, I guess.
Right.
How would you say, in your words, that the research institutions ensure coherency of the innovations with the high TRL developments?
Yeah, for me, this is done thanks to the collaboration we are having with the other actors here in the project. So,
Okay, yeah.
as I mentioned before, starting with the railway undertakings and infrastructure managers that are running the business and every day they are seeing the current issues, the current problems they need to solve. We also have the suppliers that will deploy, maintain, evolve all the solutions that the railways is requiring. And we, as the research centers, we are trying to understand what is happening currently, looking at the future to make a better railway system, which together with the suppliers and the operators, we are able to give this coherence for the railway system.
Absolutely agreed. So there is a specific forum to ensure this. That is a constant exchange with the system pillar. So 4 times a year we're meeting as a project with the system pillar and we're discussing the challenges on the table. It's the advantage of this mechanism is we don't need to conclude in one meeting on everything. So we can say, here is a topic, we need to discuss about it, and at a certain moment in time we can stop and say, okay, everybody's preparing for the next meeting, and we continue there. So basically it's not on us to ensure the coherency, but more asking the questions against coherency.
Interesting.
So giving you one example, so we made the test with the short-range communication and relative positioning in Amersfoort. So basically we prepared something for the virtual coupling, which is technology-wise far beyond virtual coupling, because it's just a train speaking to another train, which is a taboo for railways. Trains never speak to each other.
Exactly.
They're always speaking to infrastructure. So we presented this to the system pillar and they said, oh, wow, this is far beyond what we expected, but we need to discuss about it in the next steps, but we need to do the, let's say, the urgent steps before.
So I guess we will try to get some coffee before we get back to the plenary session. Is there something you would like to add before we...
What is your expectation of this day, of this final event?
You see, there's one thing which I would say, looking at Jaizki, makes us proud as researchers. You see, in the beginning we were confronted with the statement of the industry and the railway saying, okay, we are the partners with the high TRL, so we need to coordinate the project. And now after doing R2DATO, DLR, as a representative of one of the research centers, has been requested to coordinate the second wave project, which makes us much proud. Well, it's a big challenge, it's a big work, but it shows that the researchers are really integrated in this ecosystem, and we're on eyesight with all the others, and they say, okay, this work can be done by you. We trust you that you're not biasing the sector or putting something weird on us. And that's a good step forward in my point of view.
Yeah, for me, with regards to this event, there are many highlights I would like to follow, but I'm thrilled to see tomorrow the demo we are going to have thanks to SGD, who is hosting this event. This demo is related to ATO mainly. And yeah, regarding to ATO, I would like to give you another example of the way of research centers are contributing to the project by mentioning that ATO will be applied in different domains, high-speed, regional, commuter lines, metros. The industry also figured out how it should be applied to freight. So freight is another domain there. And we also saw that the railway ecosystem is much more than all these domains I mentioned to you. So we saw the need for the yellow vehicles where an ATO might be required, and also for the self-driving freight wagon we mentioned in the beginning, which the ATO might be applied there. And additionally, this new concept of the ASO, which is the automatic shunting operation. So terminals, stations, operational line, everything is connected, and you don't need just to think on one part, but see it in an integral way.
Fully agreed.
Let's
Thank
stop
you.
there.
Take it away.
Thank you very much for joining the Railway Podcast, Mr. Jaizki Mendizabal and Michael Meyer.
Thank you,
you very
Staffan
much.
Ulf. Very
you.
nice.
Thank you.
Well, that's all for this episode. Please listen to the following episodes for more in-depth knowledge from this project. In the next episode, we focus on the supplier's point of view. So until next time, thanks for listening.
You have listened to the Railway Podcast.